Thank you for joining us for the Envision 2030 presentation. In this video, we will be outlining the proposed vision statement, goals, and objectives for the town of Nederland over the next 10 years. After reviewing the presentation, we encourage you to provide us with any feedback, comments, questions, or recommendations. Please visit the Town of Nederland website for more information regarding the ways that you can provide feedback, including the dates, times, and meeting access information.
The Arts, Culture, and Education vision is to celebrate our community's creativity and natural and cultural resources while empowering lifelong learning. Goals and objectives for art. Nederland offers diverse opportunities for creative experiences, including performance, visual, and literary arts. Support and promote public art, prioritizing local artists. Foster public and private relationships to encourage local events. Promote the Community Center Auditorium to include and expand live theater, film, dance, spoken word, concerts, and other performance arts. Maintain, budget for, and grow exhibition spaces throughout town with an eye towards ADA compliance. Prioritize local artists for the creation of maps, interpretive guides, signage, etc., partnering with the DDA, ProSab, Public Works, nonprofits, and local businesses whenever possible. Culture, goals and objectives. Create an attractive, unique cultural identity for Nederland that defines us as an economically and culturally diverse town, united in our vision of preserving our local ecosystem and the ability of longtime locals to remain financially solvent and to remain in their mountain homes. Embrace diversity and encourage community interaction in an effort to represent new and old perspectives throughout projects. Celebrate the uniqueness of our location, nestled in the Roosevelt National Forest, and our respect of the natural environment as good stewards. Continue the use of alternatives to flashing lights, stoplights, and traffic control signals that tarnishes the surrounding beauty. Support independent local businesses that add cultural uniqueness. Make it a goal to be a dark sky town. Exhibit historical photographs, articles, and artifacts throughout town, engaging students in project development when possible. Outreach to peak communities, including them and their stories in retelling history. For instance, a peak-to-peak historical trail, where art, artifacts, storytelling, events, and so on are represented in each town, where we share individual stories which connect us all. Publish an interactive, lively website representing arts, culture, and education, completed in stages, eventually representing the peak-to-peak region, which includes town events. Education, goals and objectives. The Nederland area provides opportunities for learning across ages, cultures, and socioeconomic backgrounds. Provide opportunities for mentorship and intergenerational interactions. Join the Boulder Initiative to recognize tribal stewardship and engage area indigenous individuals in the creation of cultural events. Create opportunities for youth to actively engage in Town of Nederland goals and projects. Improve the mountain school experience and attract new students by collaborating with the Boulder Valley School District, CDOT, and other agencies to design and construct safe trails and highway crossings to and from schools. Expand Nederland's cultural and historic awareness through art and cultural initiatives. This could include strategically located information boards along trails, along with event and art projects depicting historical Nederland events. Financially support traditional festivals like Miners' Days and Powwow.
Community engagement fosters trust and encourages participation. It is inclusive, interactive, and results in innovative partnerships. The goals and objective of community engagement are to build lasting collaborations by utilizing a broad spectrum of crowdsourcing, both low and high tech, while creating long-term allies to improve overall town project success and awareness. To create better communication to improve community town project knowledge, i.e. what the Board of Trustees are voting on, what the DDA is working on, what the current hot topics are, and so forth. To involve town partnerships and engage teams to mobilize resources which serve as catalysts to assist in the success of individual projects. To increase resident and visitor awareness by creating an environment of inclusion, provide individuals opportunity to advocate their ideas, offer a format to gather advice and guidance, and to ensure an open, trustworthy, and credible process, and to create an easy-to-navigate town webpage.
Hello, I'm Billy Giblin. I'm on the Envision 2030 Environmental Sustainability Subcommittee, as well as the overall committee. First of all, one note on our focus is initially the subject was going to be sustainability and the environment, and we decided to combine those into one, calling it environmental sustainability, and these are kind of reciprocal in that our goals kind of reflect some of the other focus areas. We break them out specifically as sub-items under this heading, and also all those other focuses are focusing, some of their priorities are also based on the environment and sustainability over time. So our vision statement that we've come up with that we want you to give us input on is Nederland is a model community for environmental sustainability. What that means is our community is knowledgeable about how our everyday decisions impact the earth. We take action to mitigate adverse effects of climate change, and we are dedicated to conserve, preserve, protect, and restore our environment to foster a sustainable future that leads to social and economic improvements in our community. So under environmental sustainability, we have 8 primary goals. First one is a climate goal. We achieve carbon neutrality and become more resilient to the effects of climate change. We'll do that by reducing greenhouse gas emissions by 50% below 2005 levels, which also is the state 2030 goal. We'll support climate change preparedness and climate adaptation and resilience. We ensure that carbon neutrality and resiliency efforts are available to all in the community, and we'll offer education on the effects of climate change and the actions taken to reverse and mitigate it. Our next goal is an ecological health goal, which is to preserve and restore healthy and vibrant ecosystems for all inhabitants. We'll do this through encouraging the use of native vegetation on public and private lands, reducing the use of toxic synthetic herbicides and pesticides, protect riparian habitats and natural drainage ways, encourage the protection of environmentally sensitive areas, support expanded use of community forestry sort yards, promote wildlife mitigation on private property with support from wildlife partners, revise and update building design standards to improve resiliency to wildfires, provide equitable support for improving the environmental health of private properties, and provide and distribute ecology education and information on how individuals can support healthy ecosystems and create defensible spaces. Our next goal is our economy goal, which is to support a diverse local economy that encourages green businesses and business practices. We'll do this by supporting local businesses and attracting and expanding green industry and clean tech jobs, and by attracting businesses to diversify and localize the economy, by improving sustainability of the town of Nederland's procurements, by providing support for local and green businesses owned by low-income households, and by offering education on green businesses and business practices. Our next goal is our energy and buildings goal, which is to foster building practices that encourage energy and water efficiency while supporting building electrification and moving away from natural gas. and other fossil fuels, for that matter. We'll do this by achieving 100% renewable electric energy for municipal, commercial, and residential properties. Currently, we are actually at 38%. New buildings will reach net zero energy, and existing buildings will be made as energy efficient as possible. We'll increase water conservation in buildings. Revise and update building design standards to include sustainability. Support low-income populations with subsidies for energy efficiencies, renewable energy, and water efficiencies. Incorporate sustainable practices into the design and construction of town infrastructure, and offer education on renewable energy and water efficiency. Our next goal is a local food and agriculture goal, which is to support local food production and encourage sustainable agricultural practices on publicly owned and private lands. We'll do this by identifying barriers and opportunities for local food production, support community and private food gardens, encourage the use of regenerative agricultural practices, nurture relationships among local producers, distributors, and potential buyers, increase the accessibility of local food for our vulnerable populations, and offer education and outreach on local food and agriculture. Our next goal is our transportation goal, which is to promote the use of alternative transportation and fuel-efficient vehicles in order to decrease emissions while maintaining or expanding mobility for town residents, employees, and visitors. We'll do this by supporting electric vehicle or EV adoption and charging stations for all community members, by supporting car and van pooling and shuttles, by increasing the level of walking and bicycling, by providing infrastructure that is accessible and connects neighborhoods, schools, shopping, places of employment, transit, and public spaces, by offering education and outreach on alternative transportation and fuel-efficient vehicles, and by supporting ADA accessibility wherever possible. Our next goal is our water goal, which is to preserve the natural environment in our watershed and provide a reliable, high-quality water supply that protects our public health. We will do this by protecting the wildlife habitat, the stream system functions, and the aesthetics of our natural environment while providing recreational access, by understanding and preventing contamination of water sources, by employing and incentivizing water conservation methods, by supporting water reuse, such as gray water reuse, by supporting rainwater harvesting, and by providing education on water conservation practices. Our final goal is a zero waste goal, which is to reduce landfill waste while finding ways to reuse, recycle, and compost discarded materials. We'll do this by moving towards zero waste. Our goal is about an 85% diversion, which is also the City of Boulder's 2025 target. And currently we're at around 50%. We'll also do this by implementing policies which support waste diversions and eliminate single-use plastics, by reducing our overall consumption, by reducing the amount of toxic materials purchased and increasing safe disposal, and by providing education on ways to reduce waste.
The vision statement for health, human, and social services is, in 2030, all peak-to-peak community residents have accessible and affordable healthcare and human services. The goals of healthcare are to provide a full spectrum of medical services to our community, to provide access to medical care serving all peak-to-peak communities, such as, but not limited to, primary care, urgent care, testing, imaging, women's care, vaccination, pharmacy, physical therapy, ophthalmology, dental care, psychological services. Services can also meet other needs of residents, such as late, evening, and weekend hours. Transportation is affordable and available for appointments and triage urgent care needs. The goal of human services is to establish a comprehensive human services facility and network. By maintaining and sustaining a collaborative network of nonprofit and governmental human service providers to provide access to a range of human services such as, however not limited to, food pantry with community garden and greenhouse, winter clothing closet, family resource center, in addition to affordable support services for home care, in-home hospice, group child care, mediation services for those needing negotiating support, vocational training programs, flourishing schools, and education for future generations. Ensure agencies and organizations accept Medicaid, Medicare, and have an affordable sliding scale. Ensure home care services and in-home hospice care services will come up to the peak-to-peak communities. It will accept Medicaid, Medicare, and have an affordable sliding scale. Affordable transportation is available for appointments. And peak-to-peak communities will support families with children and will provide a safe, healthy, and thriving environment.
Nederland housing meets the social, economic, and environmental needs of the community now and in the future. Housing goals. Allow for the construction of housing to meet the needs of our local population through commercial lodging and residential housing. Develop public-private partnerships that promote affordability to provide housing for the elderly, those living with disabilities, the local workforce, veterans, and other vulnerable populations. Encourage housing that enhances and builds community. Consider the financial challenges on low-income seniors who are aging in place. Provide an opportunity for local housing with dignity for our local population. Establish a timeline for housing that plans for present and future growth. Get public input by following the Envision 2030 process for public engagement and a vote at a regularly scheduled election if necessary on local preferences for annexations, infill, increasing height and density in the commercial business district, overlay districts, or zoning modifications. Housing objectives. Meet goals for housing through affordable housing incentives and options, code updates, and IGA agreements, and partnerships with private and public entities. Provide incentives for developers to design and build livable, affordable, and low-income housing to accommodate seniors, low-income individuals, including veterans, and those living with disabilities. Density or height increase in exchange for a percentage of affordable or senior units. Amortize permit and tap fees, or reduce fees to encourage adequate, equitable, and alternative housing solutions. Builders who offer a percentage of housing under a flex rent schedule may qualify for these incentives by offering a decreasing discount incentives to help newcomers work their way into the community. Find ways to monitor and ensure that incentivized housing is meeting stated goals. Update and adopt local building codes. Clarify and revise in code what constitutes a dwelling unit. Revisit recent code revisions which prohibit traditional Nederland options such as RV parking on private land, tiny homes, and homes which do not follow IRC code. Allow for dwellings with low environmental impact such as, but not limited to, straw bale, hempcrete, yurts, seasonal use of teepees, and so on. Revisit the additional dwelling unit and short-term rental ordinances and determine if they have had the desired effect of creating affordable housing. How new buildings constructed under the code have affected neighborhoods, as well as any cost advantage or disadvantage that has resulted. Explore the creation of a Nederland Housing and Land Trust to provide opportunities for future housing needs for affordable, low-income, and workforce locals.
For municipal government, Netherlands government uses all the tools at its disposal to provide progressive and exemplary leadership and administration through transparency, creativity, dedication, and responsiveness to the needs and goals of the entire community. And translating that into tangible goals, Nederland will determine what is best for the town and will make decisions about home rule. Nederland will continue to digitize and sort records. Nederland will partner in redevelopment with landowners to update aging infrastructure. Nederland will leverage money in the bank to make more money in the form of interest. Nederland will implement the community center master plan and fix issues at the community center. Nederland will update and change the zoning map to reflect reality. Nederland will update and or exit the IGA with Boulder County. The vision for economic development for Nederland. Nederland thrives in a healthy, diversified, localized, and long-term sustainable economy that prioritizes the needs of its residents while protecting and leveraging its precious natural setting. The economy benefits from visitors participating in low-impact recreation, arts and entertainment, and attractive retail and hospitality, plus lodging. Nederland's businesses reflect a unique community identity that attracts visitors and positions Nederland as an economic hub for the region. We'll outline our vision in the next 4 slides that cover a chapter of each for our economic development. And the first is infrastructure. Nederland will examine and optimize walkways, parking, and traffic strategies to make the downtown commercial area, make sure that the downtown area is accessible, attractive, and thoughtfully designed. Next, Nederland will replace and repair downtown commercial infrastructure as redevelopment takes place on adjacent parcels. Nederland Design Code includes density bonuses for affordable residential and commercial spaces where more density is desirable. Nederland will work to make ADU and affordable housing more economical and easier to build and maintain. And finally, Nederland will determine how to best connect existing trails as parcels are redeveloped across town. And now for culture. Nederland will develop an attractive, accessible, and centrally located town square to support the arts, entertainment, civic events, and community-supported commercial activity. Nederland will work with civic and arts organizations to develop cultural opportunities to draw economic growth. Nederland will look at extending and upgrading its existing riverwalk to connect with additional trails and walkways, allowing residents to walk downtown and to enjoy our natural beauty. And finally, Nederland leverages its historic infrastructure, such as the Bryant House, for cultural and educational activities as part of its brand identity. And now for safety. Nederland will consider and plan for infrastructure upgrades that allow emergency services more options to traverse our town and make traffic flow better than it does today. Nederland's downtown and commercial district design protects the safety of pedestrians from vehicular traffic. And finally, Nederland will ensure ADA accessibility throughout our town. And now for the commercial section of our economic development plan. Nederland will work with the DDA and business community to ensure that design code and zoning rules are clear and unambiguous for commercial district developers and investors. Second, Nederland will consider revising commercial district height limits to allow development that is commercially and aesthetically attractive. Third, Nederland will develop and plan for expanding its downtown commercial district to adjacent blocks, giving full consideration to parcels that could become available in the 10-year life that this plan envisions. Next, Nederland will update its 2017 NDDA master plan at regular intervals to reflect the needs of residents and business owners. Nederland will regularly gather informed public input by following the Envision 2030 process for public engagement and vote at regularly scheduled elections as necessary on local preferences for annexations, infill, increased height and density limits in the CBD, in overlay districts, or zoning modifications.
Parks, recreation, and open space. Our community and its visitors enjoy ecologically sound and well-maintained parks, open space, and trails with recreational and cultural services and facilities while protecting and enhancing the unique mountain ecosystem of which we are a part. Overall goal. Nederland's unique and stunning setting in the natural world informs our planning and maintenance. We honor and maintain the land and surroundings as environmental stewards. We provide opportunities for residents of the greater Nederland area to live, play, interact, learn, and flourish in a walkable, attractive, and well-planned town. Objectives. Address funding and staffing needs for Nederland Parks, Recreation, Open Space, and Trails, PROST, including current inventory and costs in order to create a more sustainable system. Endeavor to follow the principles of the Sustainable Sites Initiative or similar sustainability guidelines in the implementation of all projects to the greater extent possible in order to promote sustainable land development and management practices. Endeavor to preserve, conserve, and restore environmental resources such as environmental conservation areas, terrestrial and riparian habitat connectors, critical wildlife habitats, wildlife migration corridors, wetlands, and riparian areas. Pay particular attention to the recreational needs of youth, the future of our society, and seniors, a rapidly expanding demographic. Seek to make facilities ADA compliant to increase accessibility of public facilities. Ensure that all Nederland PROST facilities are adequately maintained in order to support the environmental, social, and economic goals of the community. Recognize the vulnerability of the Nederland area and its PROST assets to wildfire and proactively plan to reduce risks through best practices in ecological health and wildfire mitigation. Make PROST-related community outreach and education a priority to promote a well-informed public as laid out by Public Engagement in Vision 2030. Consider parking, bicycle, and pedestrian needs for PROST assets and encourage sustainable transportation at all PROST facilities. Parks goal. Parks are maintained and planned as spaces for people to respectfully engage with nature and each other in balance with residents' needs for recreation, social gathering places, and local and regional cultural events on a scale that is appropriate for the size and character of the town. Objectives. Implement the Gateway Park Area Master Plan in order to expand social and recreational opportunities and enhance environmental stewardship. The park is officially called Barker Meadows Park. Continue to create and implement management plans for all town parks to enhance sustainable operations, address erosion, manage overuse, trash management, including hazardous fishing waste and dog waste. Use best practices for environmental sustainability when designing and creating parks, native planting, low water use, wildlife needs. Recreation goal. Nederland area recreational activities and programs address the expressed recreational needs and preferences of the Nederland area community and promote healthy, active, and culturally rich experiences in alignment with a deep respect for nature and commitment to environmental stewardship and education. Objectives. Evaluate and optimize the use of the community center, securing ongoing and adequate funding to accommodate more of the community's recreation goals. Evaluate requests for new recreational programs and facilities. Explore public and private partnerships to maximize and leverage resources. Support a mix of recreational and cultural activities and programs responsive to the interests and needs of the Nederland area residents. Open space goal. The Nederland community's desire for open space preservation is recognized by creative pursuit of land preservation and opportunities that arise with a priority placed on preserving sensitive natural resources, viewsheds, and riparian areas, and by responsible management of the town's open space property. Objectives. Establish processes to acquire desirable open space property in order to pursue land preservation opportunities. Develop sustainability analysis and management plans for current town-owned open space property that emphasize best practices for ecosystem functionality, wildlife habitat, stormwater management by use of natural passive systems, water and natural resources and current land use data, forest, floor, and soil health, wildfire mitigation, site-appropriate public access. Trails Goal. The Nederland Area Trail System provides safe, accessible, and well-maintained pathways which are left as much as possible in their natural state. This system links Nederland's commercial district, neighborhoods, schools, area parks, habitat, recreational facilities, and regional trails, fosters well-being, and provides opportunities for alternative transportation. Objectives. Update the 2005 Town of Nederland's Trail Master Plan to guide enhancements to the trail system. Identify resources for effective trails planning, construction, and maintenance to enhance connectivity while minimizing erosion and avoiding critical habitat and sensitive wildlife corridors. Create and implement an information campaign to educate users to respect neighborhoods, habitat, and wildlife. Improve trail safety to promote community walkability, health, and alternative transportation. Continue working with surrounding public and private landholders for increased linkages to area trails and attractions to increase trail connectivity and usage. Develop trail along the western shoreline of Barker Reservoir with sensitivity towards both public needs for water access and preservation of riparian habitat in order to promote healthy lifestyles and environmental awareness and stewardship.
Thank you again for joining us. Please leave any feedback, comments, questions, or recommendations in the comments section on YouTube, or visit the Envision 2030 website to provide feedback.